Hello, family. This is your friend Kenesha, and welcome to another episode of TransFormNation Thursday. This is an opportunity where we get to talk about how we can change the world. Remember, every one of you out there, you are a person of influence, and we want to make sure that we have influence and change the world, whether we start with our families, our communities, on our jobs, our cities, our state, and our world. And that takes you as well as myself. And so last Thursday, we talked about EQ versus IQ, emotional quotient versus IQ, intelligence quotient. And they're not one and the same. And we do need IQ, but it's EQ that continues to allow us to have influence. And then Tuesday, we talked about the pathway to emotions. And boy, that's so important because we talked about how we process the emotions first emotionally. Or we process things emotionally first, and then we go to our rational side. So then I thought about what happens if we don't understand that pathway, then we would be missing something. So here's our definition of missing. It is absent, not found, or lost, or lacking. So I thought about a three-legged chair, right? If we sat in a three-legged chair that was not built to be three-legged, it was built to have four legs, how many of you would trust that chair? Would that chair have influence for your bottom to sit in it? I know mine, it's a hard no. And then I thought about, what about a bridge with a missing section? I'm from Louisiana, and so when I traveled out from where I lived in Baton Rouge, close to Baton Rouge to New Orleans, there was this two actually long bridges over water. And can you imagine if there was a bridge that just went down and it got lost in the water? Would you travel on there if it was missing a part of it? Probably not. So we're going to come back to that thought in a second. So we have our book for today. It's called Emotional Intelligence 2.0 by Travis Bradberry and Jean Greaves. And we're going to take a moment just to read a little excerpt. But our thought for today is emotional intelligence is the missing link. So on page 7, it says, when emotional intelligence was first discovered, it served as the missing link in a peculiar finding. People with the highest levels of intelligence, or IQ, outperform those with average IQs just 20% of the time, while people with average IQs outperform those with high IQs 70% of the time. This anomaly threw a massive wrench into what many people had always assumed was the source of success, IQ. However, scientists realized there must be another variable that explains success above and beyond one's IQ. And years of research and countless studies pointed to emotional intelligence, or EQ, as the critical factor. So what do we want to think about? When it says the emotional intelligence, it is the missing link. So from this article, it says, why EQ matters more than IQ, because no man or woman is an island, and it's by Justin Bariso. So he talks about Victor Shang, who is a strategy consultant, and here's what Victor says. He says, IQ is intellectual ability to manage ideas, knowledge, and thoughts. Hey, we all want a high IQ, right? I know I do. But then it says EQ is the ability to manage relationships with other people. Remember, we want to be people of influence. It says the number one reason that people with high IQs, their careers are destroyed because of their lack of emotional intelligence. So you can be smart as a whip, but if you don't have EQ, emotional intelligence, or the emotional quotient, and can regulate your emotions and be sensitive to others, that's the number one reason why people get hired. Then he says this. In the workplace, it says the workplace is both logical and emotional. Interactions take place in the workplace. High IQ people tend to overvalue the importance of their IQ, and they undervalue EQ. It says this, for entry-level positions, they hire you for your IQ, but to be promoted, you have to have high EQ. So here's my question I'm going to leave you with for this week. How will you develop your EQ, or emotional intelligence, this week rather than just relying on your IQ? And our final thought, it says this. The number one reason why a new consultant in this particular company gets fired because of low EQ. We want to be people of influence. Let's go out there and influence the world by controlling our emotions. This is your friend Kenesha. I love you. Have a great day.